So was there any stories or chapter that was especially difficult, but necessary for you to include in the book?
It was, like I said, going through some dark places. One of the things that, God has taught me, because like I said, I cook. So a lot of times he speaks to me through food. And he showed me an onion, and right in the middle of an onion is the root. And anytime you're gonna use that onion to enhance the flavor of food, you have to cut away the root. And
Mm,
he just showed me that that's the bigger the onion gets, the more layers it has. And that's how our lives are. The more we grow with the things that we go through, it becomes layers in our lives. So, in order to get to the good flavor of the onion, you have to cut the root away.
Power Ace Radio.
okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of P.A.R. Real Talk. My name is Pali. I'll be the host of the show. And as usual, I have a special guest for you today. And if I could get my guest to please introduce yourself, tell us your name, tell us where you're from, and tell us what you do, please.
Okay, I am Danielle Anderson. I am from Greensboro, North Carolina, in the United States of America. Um, I do a lot of different things, but my main job is I'm a chef and I teach culinary arts.
Mm, nice. That's pretty cool. So correct me if I'm wrong. So your background is electrical engineering. You're a graduate of electrical engineering, right?
That's a part of my background. Yes.
Oh, nice. So and that's but somehow you are a grief advocate, a writer, and a wellness coach as well.
Yes.
So what's the transition from, I'm an engineer myself. I know we can wear a lot of different hats, but what's the transition from that, or are they just separate things?
I started out in that because other people said I was good at it, but my passion was really cooking. And just one day out of the blue, I decided to go back to school and obtain my degree to become a certified chef. And that's what I did. I became not just a chef, I'm also a baking and pastry art chef as well.
Big pastry hat show. So because so you like okay, let me go into this bit first, but we'll come back into this whole chefing bit. Um, what was your initial reaction, where you step away from the corporate path to embrace, you do homeschooling, holistic health, you do a lot. So what is the kind of,
Well,
the reaction?
what really made me decide that it was time to, do something different. I was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer. And because of the extensive chemo and radiation that I had to go through, I was out of work for 2 years, couldn't work because I had to do chemo and radiation every day. And it was during that time, I just felt in my heart that it was time for a change and just, really began to search out what it was that I really wanted to do. Because, like I said, I did a lot of different things, but I always knew that I loved to cook. Even before I became a chef, most of the time when somebody needed catering or anything, I was always there. So, and I just knew it was a passion and has been great ever since.
Nice. So, okay, I like food, but what is it about food that you think, okay, out of everything you could have done, you're like, okay, this is the one I want to maybe give more to people, or what is it something that rooted in the background, or like from growing up, or
I
why?
started my grandmother. So that was something she and I always did together. And one of the things that my pastor always said was, when it's something that God is calling you to do, it's something that you would do whether you got paid or not. And I knew that cooking was, because cooking is also an art. So I'm able to add my art into my cooking, especially when I do the cakes and, decorate the cakes, and just to see the expression and the love that I get from being able to prepare meals for people, that means more to me than anything.
Mm, like that, like that. Wish I was there to come and taste your lovely cooking, but we just never know. And let's move on to this over there and over hat you wear. So you wrote a book called Joy in the Morning.
No, mine is From Darkness to Light.
Ah, okay, that's my mistake there. So what's the inspiration behind that book?
Wow. From Darkness to Light. Inspiration. There are some struggles that all of us deal with, some things that I went through in my childhood. And because of those things that I had been through as a child, growing up without a father, sexually molested, a lot of different things that I went through as a child, I took it into my adulthood. And because of taking it into my adulthood, it caused me to do some things and be in places that caused a lot of heartache and pain in my life. And as I struggled with writing the book, because really I didn't want to write it, I began to see that as I was writing down and releasing things, my life was changing. And as I began to write, um, God just really began to open up some doors in my life. And it made me realize that if I was there, then someone else was there as well. And they may not know how to get out of the place that they're in. So I wanted to be able to have a tool that people can read, because I learned as a young lady that when I was smaller and I would go through things, writing was one of my outlets. Reading was one of my outlets. So I have realized that through writing and just being able to let people know that you're not by yourself. You're not the only one that's there. You're not the only one that's been there. You're not the only one that's going to be there. It's not only healing for me, it's healing for other people.
Mm, 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 that's a great answer. Thank you for sharing that. And as you said, at one point you didn't want to write it. So was there any stories or chapter that was especially difficult, but necessary for you to include in the book?
It was, like I said, going through some dark places. One of the things that, God has taught me, because like I said, I cook. So a lot of times he speaks to me through food.
Mm,
And he showed me an onion, and right in the middle of an onion is the root. And
mm,
anytime you're going to use that onion to enhance the flavor of food, you have to cut away the root. And
mm,
he just showed me that that's the bigger the onion gets, the more layers it has. And that's how our lives are. The more we grow with the things that we go through, it becomes layers in our lives. So, in order to get to the good flavor of the onion, you have to cut the root away. So, because of, like I said, the growing up without a father, not having a father to really show me or teach me how a man should love his wife as Christ loves the church, because I know that now. I was in a very abusive relationship, mentally, physically, sexually, however he could degrade me, that's what he did. So that was one of the hardest things to really sit down and write, because as I was writing, I was remembering. And as I was remembering, I was crying because, we don't want to have to go through things, but God allowed me to see that it was because of that abusive relationship that I went through is why I am where I am today. It helped me grow, and it helped me realize, that God's word is true. I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I am created in the image of light and likeness of God. And nothing that nobody else can say or do to me can ever degrade me, because God has created me better than that. So to write about what I went through, during that time of that relationship it was a hard time, but like I said, it was healing, because it made me realize that I had to forgive him and move on with my life in order to grow.
Wow, that is really touching. And I know it's not just even in your aspect. I'm sure across the genre, everybody's is been through a lot of different struggles at one point or another that can, yeah, take a leaf out of your book. Thank you for sharing that. And outside of actually publication, do you journal? Do you write little snippets or motivational
Constantly.
statements?
Yes, I do. um, and I even tell my kids, my grandkids, like I said, I realized that, even as a young girl, I can remember at 4 going off and writing. My grandfather passed away when I was 5, and I was his little girl, and that was one of the ways that I got through that time in my life, was through writing. And writing can take you to a place that you would have never imagined that you would be able to go. So writing is real important to me.
Mm, mm, mm. That's great. That's great. And let's just kind of go back into, your workshops and your coaching. Um, how do you kind of align, what you've gone through to how helping others, especially those who just feel stuck?
First and foremost, I pray and ask God to lead me, because he knows places in us that we don't even know. Because, like I said, he even showed me through writing that there was some stuff in me that I didn't realize that was still there. So I acknowledge him first, and I listen. Sometimes it just takes listening. Some people can say one word, but that one word can be a million words, because it can speak volume. So I seek God and I listen. And I pray that through my experience, somebody else can realize that they can be set free from it as well.
Surely. That's a great answer. Thank you very much. And even the one about listening, it's sometimes that is actually all you need. Just people just need to be able to talk, and actually the answers come to them while they're pouring their heart out. So yes, thank you so much for that. And you also touch in faith. Just want to go a bit deeper in that. You say you pray, you know. So is this something that is at the central of everything you do, especially when you're communicating with others, that you encourage them to follow like the true faith? They read the Bible, they pray, they do this, or
Definitely. That is the only reason I am here today, because as I stated, uh, everything we go through is for a purpose. As I told you, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cervical cancer. And it was through that time in my life that God really showed me who he really was. I went through, like I said, I went through the chemo and radiation. And then a few years after that, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, which is a more aggressive disease than cancer. So I I was angry because I didn't understand. God, wait a minute, you delivered me from cancer, you healed me, but now you're gonna allow me to go through this? I don't understand. And he said to me, Danielle, open your hands. And when I did, I could see in one hand a piece of coal and the other hand was a diamond. And I said, but God, I don't understand. He said, they're both the same. That diamond came from that piece of coal. He said, but that diamond is much more valuable than that piece of coal. And the only way that diamond became that diamond is because it had to be put under pressure. It had to go through the fire. And the more pressure that diamond was put under, and the hotter and more intense the fire, the more valuable that diamond became. Danielle, that's the way I use my diamonds in the kingdom. So from that point on, I don't care what I go through, how hard it may seem. I know that eventually, like his word says, it's going to turn around for my good. So in everything I do, yes, I tell people without God, you can't do anything. Without having him as that support, because he says he would never leave us nor forsake us. He said that he would be with us until the end. He said, I know the plans that I have for you. So in everything that I do, I'm seeking him for the plan because he already knows ahead of time.
That's really, really great. Thank you so much for that. I kind of want to a little bit more that was the most rewarding feedback that you've received from somebody impacted by your work.
Oh, wow. There was a young lady that was in church with us. We were both in the unmarried ministry together. We did a lot of stuff together. And one day it was like she disappeared. And I received a letter from her. She had packed up and moved to Atlanta. But in the letter, she said to me, Danielle, I read your book. And nobody knew, but I had been in an abusive relationship for 20 years. And when I read your book, it was my way out of that 20-year abusive relationship. And now I know that I can make it the way you did. And she said, because of course she had to go into hiding. She said, I can't let anybody know where I am right now. She said, but I wanted you to know what your book did for me. So any amount of money the book has made cannot compare to knowing that somebody's life was changed because of what God allowed me to do.
That is really, really beautiful. Like you started from the first bit where you said about the coal and the diamond, and you've gone under a lot of pressure, compression, fire, everything just to come out and be that diamond that shine, and somebody's able to reflect it back to you. That's beautiful. I like this. And let's cover this bit before we carry on. That where can people go and find out about you, about all the great work you're doing? You wear so many different hats. So is there a website? Is there
Hold on, because I'm gonna come on, Ellie. I'm sorry.
it's been a very sensitive topic, and it's personal as well, which is why when you write a book like yours, where you're actually telling your own stories, like reflecting back in your own life. So no, absolutely understandable. So yes, take your time. um
She does have a website. It's attached to her Facebook page. You can search up Danielle Anderson, and her website link is in her underneath her bio and everything. And as well as Instagram, the book is available. on pretty much every platform that you could possibly imagine that sells books. But in regards to her author website, it does have a in-depth author interview on there. So they can get to know, anyone who's interested would be able to get to know a little bit more about her that way. So I definitely recommend checking out her author website to be able to get to know a little bit more about her and her as a writer and just as a person in general.
Yeah.
I got quite a bit here. Don't mind me. The website is https://sites. This is a long website. .google.com//view/Danielle Anderson 2024. So that's the link to the website, but it's much easier to find it just by finding her on Facebook and just clicking it underneath her links.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
This is my administrative.
Oh, sorry. Go on. What were you saying?
This is my administrative assistant.
Oh, nice. Very nice to meet you. And what's your name, please?
My name is Miss Ellie Ramen.
Very
It's nice to meet you.
Doing a great job.
Let you guys.
So we'll be sure to caption all that in the video so people can obviously just click on the link and away you go to go and find more about Danielle Anderson. And let's just go into this bit that where do you see this mission growing in the next 3 to 5 years? What's
I'm
upcoming?
already working on 2 more books, but where I see this mission is worldwide. We go to church, but I believe that my mission is outside the church because there's so many people that's not going to necessarily go into the building. So I want to be like the disciples. I want to be like Jesus. I want to be able to reach the nations on the behalf of God. So writing, however he has me to go, that's where I want to be. I don't want to be in a box. Just like you're in London, correct?
That's right. We're in Kent. We're in the UK. Yes.
Yes, and I'm in the United States, but I'm able to reach other nations just through the internet. And I just want to be able to, I don't want money, I don't want fame, I don't want fortune. I want people to know who God is. So that's my mission for the next 3 to 5 years, is being in a place to where I can really allow people to know who God is, because I'm so grateful. Because as I told you, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. My lungs collapsed. And by the time they got me to the hospital, I was breathing on a fourth of a lung. They told me I was going to have to be on oxygen the rest of my life. I'm a praise and worship leader. And I knew that I could not do that and have an oxygen tank on my back. So now when I go to the doctor, they say they can't find any signs of it. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, that was God. And I just want to be able to tell people who he is. And I want people to know that he is real and he is really who he says he is. So that's my mission for the next 3 to 5 years, is just spreading the gospel. That's what we're supposed to be doing anyway.
Great answer. It's a great project. Focused on the goal. And let me ask this sidetrack question. But like, if you could write a sitcom about your life, what would it be called?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I've had quite a bit of people to ask me to Write one from darkness to light. Really, if you read the book, you will see it's a sitcom. Because man, I was in some places that even my family didn't know. So I don't know. That's gonna take some prayer. As a matter of fact, I'm on a sitcom now. I am actually on a TV show here in Greensboro, but it has nothing to do with where God is taking me or where He's brought me from. So I don't know. I would have to pray on that one.
Nice, nice, nice. So, it seems like it's preparing you for this and, for your seeing you on a bigger screen all over the place. Oh, can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. And let's kind of like cover this bit as we're kind of wrapping up. That if, let's say, you were stuck on a desert island and you have to bring one book, you have to bring one snack, and you only have one thing from your hobby to bring with you,
Mhm.
um, and maybe one tune. Why not? What would they be? So,
The
what's your
only
one
book,
favorite book?
the Bible, of course. Because I have just learned in reading the Bible, you can read a scripture one week and read that same scripture the next week, and it's going to say something totally different. So the book that I would take most definitely would be the Bible. The food that I would take, probably be mangoes, because I have just learned mangoes, they can sustain you there, the sweet, they can be versatile in a lot of different ways. Because, like I said, I cook. So a mango can, wow, nothing like a mango. And I would bring a pencil
Mm,
because even in the sand, you can write.
mm,
So wherever I am, I would always have a pencil with me at all times. If you would open up my purse, you would be like, my goodness, because I have a bag probably about this big that's full of pens and pencils because I never know where, I may stop, piece of tissue, whatever. If I need to write something down, I got it. And what
That's
was the
great.
other question?
What song would you probably bring with you?
What song?
What song? What track?
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. Every day, he will make a way.
It's incredible. Thank you so much. Usually we do a show called P.A.R. Meet the Artist, which is for music artists. For you did wearing all these different hats and you touch about music, you're leading gospel. So I thought, oh, maybe we can get a little bit of your voice, and that is incredible. I think we might have to talk about this on the next show. But yeah, any closing remarks for you for the viewers?
The only closing remark I would have is if you're in that place, just know God will make a way and he's always there for you. And if anybody does decide to purchase the book, all I ask is that you leave a review so that I will know that lives are being impacted and changed for the kingdom.
Great, that's great. Thank you so much. I would like to say it's been an immense pleasure. Personally, emotionally, you've brought it all. You've even given us the music, given us the laughter. It's a full on show of everything. So thank you so much. Showed how different hats that you wear, showed your personality. So yeah, we'll definitely be catching up again. But until then, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And maybe you can come to the United States and I can cook you a dinner.
Most definitely. I will take you on that. Yeah.
Thank
You're traveling on the airwaves of Power Ace Radio.